Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And this is the first news on 29th January newspaper front page dawn. Pakistan loses 4 points on graft perception ranking. PM says the Transparency International used data of 2017-2018 for report by Amin Ahmed. Islamabad, Pakistan has been ranked 124 out of 180 countries in the Corruption Perception Index CPI 2020, released on Thursday by the Transparency International, as the country's score has lowered to 31 from 32 out of 100 from the last year. Pakistan's ranking in 2019 was 120 among 180 countries, and its rise to 124 indicates that the perception of corruption in the public sector has slightly worsened. The country has also scored less than last year in 2 categories, Rule of Law Index and Varieties of Democracy, due to which Pakistan's score in CPI 2020 has been reduced by 1. The questions asked by World Justice Project in connection with a Rule of Law Index and Varieties of Democracy are about corruption of government officials with legislature, executive, judiciary, police, and military, explained the chairman of Pakistan chapter of Transparency International, Sohail Muzaffar. He emphasized that Pakistan had to improve its performance in these sectors. Mr. Muzaffar said that downing of ranking and score was despite the extraordinary efforts of the National Accountability Bureau (NAB), which claimed to have recovered rupees 363 billion in the last 2 years, and the Public Accounts Committee, which claimed to have recovered rupees 300 billion in the last 2 years. Prime Minister reviews report. The Transparency International report was discussed at the meeting of Prime Minister Imran Khan with the spokesman of his government and party. Sources said that the Prime Minister welcomed the report and observed that the Transparency International had used the data of years 2017 and 2018 for preparing the report. As you can see, 2017 got 107, and now 2021 is 124. Corruption Index 2020, Pakistan 124 out of 180. Country ranking 2019, 120, 2018, 117, 2017, 117, 2016, 116. So plus 0, very clean, and 180 highly corrupted. So this is a scale, and on that score, we are pretty corrupt people. Now, about Pakistan, reacting to the opposition's criticism of the government, he said it would understand the report when it got its translated copy. Mr. Muzaffar was not available for comment on the period covered in the report, but another official of the Transparency International, who preferred not to be named, said the report was the 2020 edition. According to the document provided by him, the Transparency International disclosed the full source description of the 2020 report, wherein data from 13 sources was used for the construction of the report. Out of these reports, 3 were published in 2019, and these were Global Insight Country Risk Rating 2019, World Bank Country Policy and Institutional Assessment 2019, and World Economic Forum Executive Opinion Survey 2019. The only data collected from our 2018 publication was African Development Bank Country Policy and Institutional Assessment. All the remaining publications were published in 2020. While commenting on the Transparency International's report, Special Assistant to Prime Minister on Political Communication Shahbaz Gill explained that the lowering of Pakistan's score in the CPI 2020 was due to negative rating by two institutions out of eight. In a tweet, he said the Pakistan was given 25 points in 2020 in the rule of law index against 27 points given in 2019. In 2020, Pakistan was given 22 points in the varieties of democracy category as compared to 27 points in 2019. Giving a full score description, Transparency International says 13 data sources were used to construct the CPI 2020. NAM has welcomed the Transparency International report and said that the Bureau, under the dynamic leadership of the chairman, uh, Justice retired Javed Iqbal, believed in eradication of corruption and brought big fish to justice so that looted money could be recovered from corrupt elements and deposited in the national exchequer. The report says in the neighboring countries, corruption score of India, Iran, and Nepal has reduced by one, and Malaysia's score by two. Afghanistan's score has improved by three, and Turkey by one. The CPI 2020 report has says that persistent corruption is undermining healthcare systems and contributing to democratic uh, backsliding amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Countries that perform well on the index invest more in healthcare and better able to provide universal health coverage and are less likely to violate democratic norms and institutions or the rule of law. Chairman of Transparency International, Delia Pereira Robio said the past year has tested the governments like no other in memory, and those with higher levels of corruption have been less able to meet the challenge. But even those at the top of the CPI must urgently address their role in perpetuating corruption at home and abroad. By 2020 edition of the CPI ranks 180 countries and territories by their perceived levels of public sector corruption, drawing on 13 expert assessments and surveys of business executives. Each uses a scale of 0, highly corrupt, to 100, very clean. Denmark and New Zealand, top of the index with 88 points. Somalia and South Sudan come last with 14, 12, and 12 points respectively. Corruption poses critical threat to people's lives and livelihoods, especially when combined with the public health emergency. Clean public sectors correlate with the greater investment in healthcare. Uruguay, for example, which has the highest CPI score in Latin America, 71, invests heavily in healthcare and has a robust epidemiological surveillance system, which has aided its response to COVID-19 and other infectious diseases like yellow fever and Zika. In contrast, Bangladesh scores just 26 and invests little in healthcare, while corruption there has flourished during COVID-19, ranging from bribery in health clinics to misappropriated aid. Corruption is also perceived in the procurement of medical supplies. Countries with higher corruption levels also tend to be the worst violators of the rule of law and democratic institutions during the COVID-19 crisis. These include Philippines 34, where the response to COVID-19 has been characterized by major attacks on human rights and media freedom. Continuing a downward trend, the United States has achieved its worst score since 2012 with 67 points, in addition to alleged conflicts of interest and abuse of office at the highest level in 2020. Weak oversight of $1 trillion COVID-19 relief package raised serious concerns and marked a retreat from long-standing democratic norms promoting accountable government. The past year highlighted integrity challenges among even the highest scoring countries, providing that no country is free of corruption. To reduce corruption and to better respond to future crises, Transparency International recommends that all governments should strengthen oversight in institutions to ensure that resources reach those most in need. Anti-corruption authorities and oversight institutions must have sufficient funds, resources, and independence to perform their duties. They should ensure openly transparent contracting to combat wrongdoing, identifying conflicts of interest, and ensure fair pricing to defend democracy and promote civic space and create the enabling conditions to hold governments accountable and to publish relevant data and guarantee access to information to ensure that the public receives easy, accessible, timely, and meaningful information. In the end, the final request, if you have not yet, please subscribe to the channel and press the like and bell button to get some fresh from us. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time. Goodbye.